flip it over. Whoa, look at the size of that MLCC. Man, I'm going to get a heat gun on that. Hey folks, and welcome back to KKR Renewables Metal Recovery channel. In today's video, we're going to continue our ASMR series and scrap out a Cisco 2900 series router. This particular router is no longer working, but this entire series of routers is end of serviceable life. So no one's going to be installing these or refurbishing them to repurpose them. Immediately taking a look at this one, we see that it's got a power supply with a separate switch on it. If you've watched my previous videos, you know I like those. I'm getting a lot of them, so I'm going to try to start selling those on eBay. This particular switch has an Amphenol connector card in it. I'm not sure what that was used for. Maybe it was used for separating out the telephone lines for a small office installation and carrying that telephone signal across a T1 line or perhaps a Ethernet circuit. All right, let's go ahead and get the top off of this and let's blow it out. Since we're outside, I don't want to get any of that dust inside the house. All right, let's get these screws off. See what we got underneath. Really clean board. This was probably installed in a data center somewhere. We see memory. We got two what looks like gold corner BGAs underneath some aluminum heat sinks, which is nice. Another gold corner BGA. Some smaller flat packs. And of course that card. We got to see what's in that card. All right, we've moved inside where it's a little less windy and I have a little more control over my environment. And we've already gone over that there's probably a gold corner BGA under here. I see the gold corner BGA under here. I actually don't know though if this is a epoxy top BGA or if it's a flip chip. I don't know if either one of those are any good actually for gold recovery. We have a memory stick in here. Memory stick has a heat sink on it. I know that Board Sort does not like to have the heat sinks on here. They'll categorize it as probably shielded or something since it's got extra weight. But there is a BGA on here and there is a gold rimmed oscillator. And gold fingers. Let's pull this card out. On this card, we see we've got four-sided TSQP. These are quad four-sided surface mount devices. Here's two-sided surface mount devices as well. We've got yellow tantalum capacitors and a black tantalum capacitor. MLCCs. No idea if those are magnetic or not. Check that out also. These are daughter boards that come off of this main board. On the daughter board, flip it over. Oh, wow. This is kind of stuff I like to see. This is why I do this whole series, because I like to see when I find, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are 16 fuses here that should have silver filaments on the inside. Everyone I've seen like this before has had silver filaments. If you guys know better, let me know. Small yellow tantalum capacitors. There's going to be gold pins on the inside here and additional quad-sided flat packs. And that's on two of these. They are identical to each other. With the exception, this one has an additional SMD device. That's a TSQP. I have no idea what these are. It looks like on the board, they're listed as Fs, so they might be some sort of fused component as well. I've not seen these before. I'll take a close-up picture of this entire board and try to circle some things to identify like the fuses, two-sided ICs, four-sided ICs, MLCCs, things like that. These MLCCs are kind of nice. I'm hoping that this is a fairly older device. Not terribly, but I'm hoping that these are non-magnetic. We'll test those out. On the board itself, you see this is an Amphenol connector here. This was probably used to separate out phone line that was coming in on a T1 or an Ethernet connection to the maybe a local small office phone switch. We have a BGA here, some really nice gold-plated pins here and here. More of whatever these things are. Not sure about that. Nice sized tantalum, yellow tantalum capacitors, black tantalum capacitors all along here. Flip it over. Look at the size of that MLCC. Man, I'm going to get a heat gun on that and take that off. And I'm going to hope that it's non-magnetic as well. That looks like a bit of a beast there. Can't wait to see what that's all about. All right, let's get into here. Let's see what's underneath here. Let's hope that we've got a gold corner BGA. All right, here we go. All right, nice piece of aluminum. Gold corner BGA. It does have the copper heat spreader on it, so as we've seen before from our previous videos, that does add additional weight and kind of skews the numbers for what you think you're going to get back from gold recovery. But that's nice. Let's see this one. That one's a little easier to get off. This is a non-copper top or a non-heat spreader. Another gold corner BGA. So 3 gold corner BGAs on this board. That's not too bad. Let's get these screws out and see what's on the underside of this board. All right, I'm not sure what this is, but let's go ahead and take that off as well. While I'm doing that, let's talk about this right here. Most of your systems these days have some sort of battery for maybe the CMOS, the BIOS memory, to make sure that it stays. You have to properly and responsibly remove those. You can't just pull that off and throw that in the trash. You're gonna need to take that back to a Lowe's or something along those lines. Not sure what's going on here, but this is not coming off. All right, I want to go get some gloves because this is just not. These things are not going to come out very nicely. Not sure what's going on here. I see there's additional circuitry under here. I'm going to try to go ahead and get that out. What I'm trying to do is get underneath this board to see if there's a screw holding that on or not. And this is interesting. Looks like it's got some aluminum on it here. Gold pins. You can see the gold at the end of those. BGA, gold rimmed crystal oscillator, tantalum capacitor. And I believe this is some sort of a fusible link, right? I think if it were to exceed its voltage inputs, it would open, and then when it cooled down, it would close again. Nice large resistor that's going to contain some silver, another 2-side and 4-side flat pack, and more gold pins. Underneath these black boxes right here, I happen to know from previous experience, there are gold-plated receivers in here. This is where power would plug in and power this board. And there's gold in each one of those circular receivers right there. Let's put these to the side. Nah, This is just plastic. This is trash. Let's turn this around. I see there's some things we can take out up front here as well. Not sure what's going on here. Not much. Let's see here. Yeah, there's additional circuitry in here. I'm not sure how to get to that. Let's go ahead and take this power supply tray out. Fans. These are nice wheel bearing fans too. Those are really good fans. This is not a power supply tray. This is a fan tray. All right, here is our power supply tray. That's pretty nice. It's completely enclosed. I can see some nice bits of copper in there, gold connectors in here. Again, this is a power switch. Looks like I'm going to have to get that nut off to be able to get this thing out smoothly. I'm going to work on that for a second. Pause the video. Fine. I just had to break it off. I guess it was stripped in there. Okay, will this board come out now? Still doesn't want to come out. Am I missing other screws? Let's see here. Screw. Right there. It's amazing how easy it is to miss these things. Let's pull them out and get them out of here. So there's no question. I see there's a plug under here also, so that might be holding us down as well. Just might need to apply a little bit of force. Yep, that's what it was. There's these pins in here. I'll show you in a second. I saw them when I was looking underneath from the front side view of this thing. All right. So that came out finally, and we see here we have a memory card inside this one. $256 meg. This is the largest one I've ever seen, so I don't know, maybe I can sell that on eBay. All right, so now that that board is out, let's flip that over and let's see what we have on the other side. If we're lucky, we'll have some additional components. If we're not lucky, it'll just be a flat board. and we're not really lucky. Okay, a couple of MLCCs I see here, a couple of IC chips, some nice gold pins. We'll get those out with the heat gun so they come off nice and clean. But other than that, there's nothing else on this side of the board. All right, there we have it. That's completely apart. Let's see what we got in total. All right, before we get too carried away and just clearing things off to see our final tally, I'm going to go ahead and pull whatever this is out if I can. Looks like some sort of a backplane. All right, nice additional gold pins here, and there will be gold pins in there as well. All right, so this is all scrap steel. I'll go ahead and clean this up and put it in the recycling. Then we will get to take a look at the final tally. I'm going to remove all the steel. So the steel bracket from this daughter board, that aluminum and steel from that daughter board. All right, so here is our final tally of everything that we got from the Cisco 2900 series router. Here's some small pieces of copper. They don't really weigh anything at all. They're going to be useful to put in the furnace for melting down. I wanted to show you, we have aluminum, 2 pieces of aluminum heat sink, and also an aluminum bracket that held in a daughter board. We have a fan tray with some really nice fans in them. We have the motherboard. On the motherboard, we've got 1, 2, 3 gold corner BGAs. We've got multiple IC chips on top of that are all surface mount device IC chips. Again, surface mount devices like this is where the lead frame wire comes out from the main body or the main package of the IC chip and is soldered to just one side of the motherboard, as opposed to a through hole IC chip where the legs are longer and they protrude down through the motherboard and they're soldered from either the back or the front or both sides. So these are only soldered to one side. If I flip this board over, there won't be any through holes for these. There are gold plated pins in all of these, but I'm not going to worry with those because they're really difficult to get at and there's not much there. I'm going to focus on the ICs, and I'm going to let the big refiners go after all this other stuff. We've got some pretty big MLCCs right here, hidden in between these capacitors. These capacitors are just aluminum. There's nothing in there that you're going to want to go after. You're going to want to let that go to the bigger refiners. We have 2 of these smaller daughter boards. They've got 4-sided flat packs on them. The fuses, as we showed earlier. 2-sided IC chips as well. Turning it over, more of the same on each side. Nice tantalum, yellow tantalum capacitor there. This was the Amphenol board that we pulled out earlier. Again, this was probably used for 8 phone lines. I did a little bit more research on this particular board. Here we have some BGAs. Here we have some 2-sided IC chips, 2-sided IC chips, the yellow tantalum capacitors, black tantalum capacitors here, here, and here, gold pins. On this side was the huge, by comparison, it was the huge MLCC that I want to go ahead and get a heat gun on and take a look at. These other smaller boards, primarily gold plated pins in here and here, gold pins here. The smaller board, more gold pins, tantalum capacitors, BGA, two-sided IC chips. All of this stuff is going to give you some gold return if you go after it. This is a resistor. I wanted to also show you this. So here we have that power supply I was telling you about earlier. I wanted to go ahead and take it apart and just see what was in it, if there was anything in it that was interesting that I would want. And there's not. There are gold coils here and here and here. Those are induction coils, and they've got great copper on them if you want to remove those. There's a bunch of much smaller surface mount Zener diodes and other little components that I'm not going to go after. I'm going to let the bigger refiners go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to try to use this power supply and see if I can use it. The only issue I've got with this power supply, which might prevent me from using it, is this connector here. These are gold-plated pins, so those are nice to take. But if I wanted to actually use this device as a power supply, I would have to figure out which of these terminals provided how much power. I have other power supplies that are much easier to figure out, and they're all labeled and they give me the different voltages that I want. So I think I probably just talked myself into just going ahead and parting this out. So what I'll do is I'll take these copper coils, and I'll take this little relay right here. There's a little black box right here. It looks to me like it's a relay as opposed to these big blue boxes, which are just capacitors. This relay is going to have a small silver button in it, 3 of them probably. All right. And that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of what to look for when you are parting the Cisco Series 2900 and other electronics like that. There are certain things you want to look for. I've seen lots of YouTubers just completely ignore your gold corner BGAs when they're talking about things to take off of a board. I'm not sure why that is. They are the best gold return by weight on the whole board. So those are the ones you really want to go after specifically. And these pins that are in each one of these are also nicely gold plated. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to want to take this battery and recycle it responsibly. One more time, I'll show you the other side of this board. Again, there's nothing of value here for us. A couple of MLCCs that are probably magnetic. But if you can see that, I hope that comes through. These are really nicely plated gold pins. I'm definitely taking those. All right, next thing I want to show you is just the heat gun on that, because I'm excited to see if that's magnetic or not. All right, back in a minute. All right, moment of truth. I did not record using the heat gun because I bet you have already seen the heat gun used 1,000 times. If anybody wants to see how to use a heat gun, by all means, let me know. But I kind of think we've exhausted that. All right, and I also have not pre-tested this. So I'm going to be finding out at the exact same time you are in the video. Real time, let's see. We have our MLCC right here, and I went ahead and loosened up a little resistor right there as well. Let's see. We are supposed to be able to take a relatively powerful magnet, hold it about 1/4 of an inch off the surface, and run that magnet over. And if the MLCC sticks to the magnet, then it's not precious metals. So here we have a relatively powerful, it's small, but it's fairly thick, older hard drive magnet. We're going to put this down flat, make sure it's touching. Okay, let's run this over. And it's stuck right to it. Boo. All right. That tells me that it's large, but as far as precious metals in it, I don't think there are any precious metals in this. That's disappointing. All right, but nonetheless, now we know, so I don't need to spend time with the rest of the MLCCs. If anybody else has a better way to test or would like to give me some additional thoughts on how to test, let me know. All right, folks, that will conclude our test for today and this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, please like, subscribe, and tap on that notification bell so that you're sure to be notified of any future videos that I put out.